Take a breath, not to escape, but to become fully aware. There is a world moving around you, yet in this moment, your mind is the center of that movement. Joseph Murphy once said that the world you live in is the exact reflection of the world you carry inside. That truth has weight. It means that every thought you choose is not a passing idea. It is a living seed shaping your atmosphere, your health, your relationships, and your future. The atmosphere of your mind is more powerful than you may realize. It is the invisible current behind every conversation, every opportunity, and every challenge you face. Without a single word, people sense your state of mind. They feel whether you carry calm authority or quiet unease, whether you radiate hope or heaviness. This is not mystical drama, it is a law of mind. The energy of your thought does not remain private. It spills into your surroundings and influences every aspect of your life. Most live unaware of this influence, thinking life is random, that things just happen. Yet the teachings of spiritual science say otherwise. The patterns of thought you allow, the emotions you rehearse, and the beliefs you protect, they build the atmosphere that either opens doors or closes them. When you understand this, life becomes less about control and more about alignment. You begin to see that every outcome is preceded by a mental state, and every mental state can be chosen, cultivated, and strengthened. Think of this not as a mystical force outside your grasp, but as a practical law. The subconscious mind, Murphy taught, is the silent builder of your reality. It accepts every impression with perfect faith. Whether that impression is true or false, uplifting or destructive. If fear and resentment dominate your inner world, your atmosphere takes on their shape, and life mirrors them back. If gratitude and confidence saturate your thought, those too will radiate outward and return multiplied. You do not need to force this, it happens automatically. The subconscious is like fertile soil. It will grow whatever you plant. Becoming conscious of your atmosphere is the first step to transformation. This is not about perfection or pretending to be positive. It is about awareness. Stop for a moment and consider the energy you carry most often. Are you moving through your days with tension or trust? Are you reacting from habit, or are you directing your mind with purpose? These questions are not for guilt. They are for freedom. When you become aware, you gain choice. You are no longer a passive receiver of life. You are a deliberate creator. This understanding changes the way you see yourself. You begin to realize that spiritual mastery is not about controlling external events. It is about mastering your inner climate. The most powerful individuals are not always the loudest or most visible. They are those whose minds are anchored in principle. They are calm even in chaos because they know that thought, fixed and faithful, bends reality to match it. When you cultivate this steadiness, people will feel it around you without explanation. Your presence becomes a message. This teaching is not meant to burden you with responsibility, but to awaken you to power. The atmosphere you carry today is the sum of your repeated thoughts yesterday. The atmosphere you will carry tomorrow is being shaped by your thoughts right now. You are not trapped by the past because the law of mind responds instantly to new impressions. Each moment offers a fresh chance to rewrite the atmosphere you project into your home, your work, and your health. Transformation begins not in dramatic gestures, but in quiet choices, a moment of forgiveness, a shift in self-talk, a pause to speak truth instead of fear. These seem small, yet they are seeds. And as seeds take root, they change the field around you. This is why spiritual practice matters: meditation, prayer, affirmation. These are not rituals to impress others. They are ways of saturating your subconscious with harmony until it overflows. When your inner climate is rooted in peace, your world begins to match it. And here is a truth worth holding. You never have to advertise your growth. The mind's atmosphere speaks louder than words. People may not know why they feel different in your presence, why they sense clarity, safety, or inspiration around you. But this is the silent power Joseph Murphy taught: the mind as a broadcasting station. What you dwell on, you radiate. What you radiate, you draw back into your experience. This is the foundation of all that will follow. Without understanding your atmosphere, every other effort becomes a performance. But when you start here, with the invisible yet undeniable power of thought, you hold the key to every transformation. Life is not random, it is responsive, and as you begin to take authorship of your inner climate, the world around you will rise to meet it. Thought is not a faint echo of life. It is its architect. Every visible circumstance, no matter how fixed or unchangeable it appears, began as a single impression in the mind. The stream of thoughts flowing through your consciousness every day directs your choices, molds your perception, and attracts experiences that mirror your inner state. What many call luck or fate is often the natural result of thought patterns repeated until they become a silent command to life. Joseph Murphy described these forces as thought currents, living streams of energy that shape the conditions around you with unwavering precision. These currents run deep, influencing you even when you are unaware of them. They are formed by your own inner dialogue and also by the beliefs you absorbed from family, culture, and society. Unless you awaken to their presence, you may feel as if you are making independent decisions, while in reality you are being carried along by an inherited flow. The moment you recognize this truth, you gain authority over it. Awareness allows you to step out of the unconscious drift and steer your thoughts with intention. Take a moment to observe your mind with honesty. Notice the themes that surface most often, the doubts that whisper in the background, the assumptions you've carried for years, the expectations that have quietly shaped your choices. These mental patterns are not passive. They are signals you broadcast constantly, calling into your life experiences that confirm their message. This is why change begins inwardly. You cannot sustain a life of abundance while meditating daily on lack. Nor can you live in deep peace while rehearsing fear. The law of mind is neutral but precise. It produces whatever is planted with conviction. The simplicity of this truth is profound. Spiritual understanding does not require pleading with life for better circumstances. It requires alignment. Health, clarity, and prosperity are not rare miracles. They are natural expressions of divine intelligence. The reason they sometimes seem distant is that old thought patterns interfere with their expression. Clearing that interference is your task. It is not done by force, but through the steady practice of choosing thoughts that match the life you desire. Picture your mind as a tuning instrument. Every belief you hold is a frequency, and life responds to that vibration. Fear tunes you to fearful outcomes. Faith tunes you to evidence of good. This is why every spiritual path emphasizes renewing the mind. When you change the frequency of your dominant thought, your experiences shift to match it. Joseph Murphy taught that whatever you impress on the subconscious will be expressed, whether or not you consciously desire it. This is why belief, not mere wishful thinking, determines results. To change a belief, repetition with feeling is essential. Each time you affirm truth with conviction, you carve a new channel in consciousness. Slowly, your inner current shifts, and what once felt impossible becomes natural. This process is not about pretending or ignoring challenges. It is about planting seeds of truth until they take root so deeply that they override the old. Over time, this inner reprogramming becomes visible in every aspect of life, not because of luck, but because the law of mind cannot fail. Consider relationships as an example. Many people move through life encountering the same disappointments despite changing locations, jobs, or friends. The faces change, yet the pattern persists. This is evidence of a deep thought current at work. Until it is replaced, outer change cannot fully satisfy. But when a person chooses a new inner standard, when they release resentment, embrace worthiness, and expect respect, their relationships transform. Life begins to mirror their renewed belief, often in ways that seem miraculous to others. The same principle shapes your self-image. If deep down you believe you are unworthy or limited, every opportunity will feel unnatural, and you will unconsciously sabotage it. But when you root your identity in spiritual truth, knowing that you are a creation of divine wisdom, capable of growth, and deserving of good confidence, rises naturally. Success stops feeling like an accident and begins to feel like alignment. This shift is not about arrogance. It is about recognizing your true nature and living from it. Thought currents also influence families, communities, and cultures. Patterns of fear, struggle, or resilience can be passed down like heirlooms, not only through words but through energy. Yet each person has the power to break this cycle. One individual who commits to truth and peace creates ripples that change the atmosphere around them. Never underestimate your influence. A single conscious mind can uplift an entire environment, not by force, but by embodying a higher vibration consistently. Once this principle is understood, you begin to see life differently. You no longer feel powerless when challenges arise because you know that reality responds to your dominant thought. This knowledge does not dismiss hardship. It equips you to rise above it, even when outer evidence seems bleak. You can choose thoughts of courage and hope, planting seeds that will inevitably grow. The universal law of mind is unfailing. It always produces according to its nature. Start now by treating your inner world as sacred ground. Be deliberate about what you allow to settle there. Choose words that uplift, images that inspire, and beliefs that reflect truth rather than fear. This is not about suppressing emotions or pretending everything is fine. It is about choosing what you will magnify. When you consistently plant seeds of peace and gratitude, your atmosphere changes. Your life will follow. Your mind is not a passive recording of memories. It is a creative power. The circumstances you face today are not random. They are expressions of yesterday's thinking. But that same law guarantees freedom. New thoughts planted today will create a new tomorrow. No belief is permanent if you choose to renew it. No limitation is stronger than a mind anchored in divine truth. As you become aware of the thought currents shaping your life, you gain the authority to redirect them, and that choice is the beginning of lasting transformation. Your surroundings are never neutral. They are an extension of your mind. The atmosphere of your home reflects the atmosphere of your thought, not because furniture and walls hold power over you, but because your inner climate leaves its imprint on everything you touch. Joseph Murphy often taught that your outer life is a mirror of your inner state, and nowhere is this more apparent than in the space you live in daily. Every decision you make, from how you arrange your environment to the energy you bring into it, reveals what you believe about yourself and what you expect from life. Think about the subtle message carried in your home. Does it feel like a refuge where peace is welcomed and nurtured, or does it carry the residue of stress, clutter, or emotional weight? While these outward signs may seem unimportant, they are expressions of something deeper. A person who feels worthy of harmony will naturally create an environment that supports it. Someone who feels overwhelmed or disconnected may unconsciously allow their space to reflect that same inner chaos. The goal is not to achieve perfection, but to recognize that your home becomes a living reflection of your consciousness. Your home is not just a shelter. It is a silent teacher. Each room is a canvas where your beliefs take shape. The the choices you make in that space, whether to surround yourself with beauty or neglect it, are evidence of your thought patterns. A person who begins to cultivate gratitude and intention will often feel an urge to clean, organize, and beautify their surroundings. This isn't vanity, it's alignment. As inner order is restored, outer order becomes natural. The environment reflects the consciousness of its creator. And this reflection works both ways. Just as thought shapes your home also reinforces your thoughts. When your surroundings are filled with reminders of fear, failure, or regret, those emotions are constantly triggered. When your space is infused with symbols of peace, hope, and inspiration, your subconscious mind absorbs that message effortlessly. This is why spiritual teachers often speak of creating a sacred space, not necessarily a religious altar, but an environment charged with your highest intentions. Even a single corner of your home, thoughtfully arranged, can become a sanctuary that strengthens your inner state. Notice how your energy changes when you enter certain spaces. Some environments seem to invite calm, while others feel heavy or restless. This is not imagination. It is the law of vibration at work. Every thought carries energy, and over time, that energy permeates your environment. The words spoken in a home, the emotions felt there, and the beliefs held by its occupants all contribute to its atmosphere. This is why cleansing your mental state is as important as cleansing your physical surroundings. A clean space without a renewed mind quickly returns to disorder because the source has not changed. Joseph Murphy often emphasized the subconscious mind as a faithful servant. It records everything and expresses those records through behavior, habits, and even physical surroundings. If your environment feels stagnant rather than only rearranging furniture, examine the thoughts that created it. Ask yourself, what beliefs about yourself and your life are showing up in this space? Are you living as if abundance and beauty are natural to you, or as if they are reserved for someone else? This reflection is not about judgment, but empowerment. Awareness is the first step toward change. When you begin to see your home as an extension of your consciousness, you treat it with reverence. You choose to bring in objects, colors, and designs that lift your spirit. You release what no longer serves you, both physically and mentally. This process is deeply spiritual because it reflects an inner decision, the decision to honor yourself and your divine nature. By tending to your environment with intention, you are silently affirming, I deserve harmony, I deserve beauty, I deserve peace. And the subconscious mind accepts that message, reinforcing it through thought and action. Creating a home that reflects spiritual truth is not about wealth or material excess. Some of the most serene spaces are simple, uncluttered, and humble, yet they radiate peace because of the consciousness behind them. A home filled with gratitude will always feel abundant, regardless of size or decor. Conversely, a mansion built in fear or discontent will never feel alive. The power lies not in material possessions, but in the energy that flows through them. Spiritual understanding teaches us to bless what we have, to infuse our space with intention, and to recognize that true prosperity begins within. Your home also serves as a mirror for your emotional state. Have you noticed how physical clutter often increases during periods of stress? Or how a surge of clarity inspires you to clean and reorganize? These patterns are not coincidence. They are signs of the deep connection between mind and environment. Instead of criticizing yourself for these fluctuations, use them as feedback. Your space will always tell the truth about your inner life. Let it be a teacher, not a source of shame. Each day offers an opportunity to create order and beauty, both inside and out. When you intentionally nurture your home environment, you are not only shaping a physical space, you are shaping your destiny. A home charged with faith and gratitude supports health, creativity, and peace. It becomes a silent ally in your spiritual growth, reflecting your progress back to you. And as your home becomes a sanctuary, your mental atmosphere deepens in strength and stability. This is how transformation becomes visible. It starts within the mind, flows through thought, and finally manifests in the places you live and the lives you touch. Your environment is speaking. It tells the story of your beliefs, your habits, and your inner atmosphere. By listening without judgment, you gain insight into the thoughts that shape your world, and with that insight, you hold the power to choose again, to create a space that reflects truth, nourishes your spirit, and radiates harmony to everyone who enters. In doing so, you prove that the mind is not just a private realm of ideas, but a living force that molds every detail of your life, starting with the ground beneath your feet. The body, like your home, is not separate from your mind. It is an instrument, a living reflection of your beliefs and emotions. Joseph Murphy often emphasized that the subconscious governs every function of the body, responding faithfully to the mental impressions impressed upon it. This means that your health is not merely a physical condition, it is deeply intertwined with thought. While medicine and science address the body on a chemical and structural level, spiritual understanding reveals the unseen influence behind those physical states, the steady power of belief. Every emotion has a corresponding effect on the body. Anxiety tightens the muscles, accelerates the heart, and floods the system with stress hormones. Gratitude, by contrast, brings relaxation and balance, allowing the body's natural healing processes to function more efficiently. This is not mystical thinking, but a reflection of how the mind communicates with every cell. The subconscious does not separate imagination from reality. Whatever picture you hold with feeling is accepted as fact. When fear dominates your thought life, the body interprets it as a real and present threat, and it adjusts accordingly. This is why spiritual teachings have always emphasized peace as a healing force. Inner calm is not simply a pleasant feeling. It is a signal to the subconscious that safety and harmony exist, prompting the body to respond in kind. The nervous system settles, the breath deepens, and the body's natural intelligence can restore balance. The connection between thought and health is so profound that ancient wisdom traditions considered it inseparable. A disturbed mind would always disturb the body, while a mind rooted in truth would bring renewal. Consider how your own experiences reflect this principle. Have you ever felt physically exhausted after days of emotional turmoil, even without physical exertion? Have you noticed the energy that floods your body when you feel deeply inspired or joyful? These are glimpses of a universal law. Thought is energy, and energy has form. Over time, persistent thoughts and emotions etch themselves into posture, expression, and overall vitality. This is why the renewal of the mind is not a mere psychological exercise. It is a physical necessity for anyone seeking wholeness. Yet this truth is not meant to bring fear or guilt. The connection between mind and body exists to empower you. If destructive thought can harm the body, constructive thought can heal and strengthen it. If fear can produce tension and imbalance, faith can produce harmony and resilience. The subconscious is not your enemy. It is your most faithful servant. It does not judge the quality of your thoughts. It simply executes them. When you begin to consciously feed it with life-affirming impressions, your health will naturally reflect this inner change. Murphy often encouraged the practice of speaking to the subconscious as though it were a trusted friend. When you declare health, peace, and vitality with conviction, you are planting seeds of healing. These declarations are not about denying pain or illness, they are about introducing a higher truth into your mind. Instead of rehearsing fear, you are choosing to rehearse life. Over time, these impressions sink deeply into the subconscious, reprogramming the body's responses. This is not magic, but law. The subconscious expresses whatever is impressed upon it most consistently. Modern science has confirmed what spiritual teachers have known for centuries. The mind and body are deeply interconnected. Stress weakens the immune system. Chronic anger inflames the nervous system, and unhealed grief often shows itself through fatigue and illness. But just as negative emotions leave a physical mark, so do positive ones. Gratitude, forgiveness, and joy produce measurable changes in the body's chemistry, promoting balance and strength. Spiritual practice, therefore, is not only a path to peace, it is a path to physical well-being. Begin to treat your body as a reflection of your thought life. Instead of criticizing it or feeling betrayed by it, recognize that it has been faithfully serving the images you have given it. When you change those images, you give your body new instructions. For example, someone who constantly tells themselves they are weak and fragile may find that their energy and health decline. But if they begin to affirm strength, vitality, and divine life flowing through every cell, the body responds over time. Words and thoughts are commands, and the subconscious carries them out. You do not need to master every medical detail of your body to influence it. What you need is an understanding of spiritual law. The life principle within you knows how to restore and balance itself. Your role is to remove the interference caused by fear, resentment, or self-rejection, and replace it with an atmosphere of faith and love. This is not a quick fix, but a process of re-educating your mind until health becomes your natural expectation. The more you impress your subconscious with images of wholeness, the more it reorganizes your body to match them. This principle also extends to the way you carry yourself daily. When you hold thoughts of confidence, your posture shifts, your breathing deepens, and your energy rises. When you dwell on heaviness or defeat, your body mirrors that state. Start to notice these connections without judgment. Awareness itself is transformative. Each time you replace fear with peace or resentment with forgiveness, you are not only changing your mental state, you are giving your body permission to heal. Your health is a silent testimony of your inner climate. This does not mean illness is a moral failing or that every symptom is self-created. It means that your body listens to your mind, and by cultivating a spiritual atmosphere of harmony, you become an ally to its natural intelligence. Healing, then, is not always dramatic or immediate. It is often a gentle return to balance as your subconscious receives a new blueprint. Trust this process. The same law that once reflected pain and imbalance will just as faithfully reflect wholeness when you feed it with truth. Life always matches your inner expectations. The Law of Mental Equivalence teaches that every experience you live through is proportionate to the image you carry within. Joseph Murphy described this law as an unwavering principle. The outer world reflects the inner pattern. If you hold a vision of yourself as limited, life will confirm that belief with circumstances that reinforce it. If you hold yourself as capable, favored, and supported by divine intelligence, life begins to arrange itself in ways that echo that truth. This law is not about wishful thinking. It is about the precise correspondence between thought and form. Imagine your mind as a projector constantly casting images upon the screen of your life. Those images are not fleeting daydreams. They are deeply rooted convictions formed through repetition, emotion, and belief. Every success, every failure, every relationship dynamic is tied to these inner pictures. If you desire to change your circumstances, you must change the film in the projector, not the screen. Attempting to rearrange life without addressing its mental blueprint is like repainting a cracked wall without repairing the foundation beneath it. True transformation begins within. This principle is beautifully simple. Life does not give you what you want. It gives you what you are conscious of being. This is why Murphy emphasized the power of imagination combined with faith. When you hold a picture of yourself as strong, whole, and guided by divine wisdom, and when that picture feels real to you, your subconscious accepts it as fact. Once accepted, it begins to reorganize your actions, your energy, and even your surroundings to align with that belief. The law works with mathematical precision, responding not to scattered thoughts but to your dominant mental equivalent. Consider how this plays out in everyday life. A person who secretly believes they are unworthy of love may sabotage relationships or attract partners who confirm that belief. They are not cursed, they are simply living out their inner image. Another person who truly believes they are deserving of respect will naturally carry themselves with confidence, and others will respond accordingly. These outcomes may seem like coincidence, but they are the natural outworking of the law of equivalence. The world becomes a mirror reflecting the picture held most firmly in the heart. Changing these images requires persistence. Many people try affirmations or visualization briefly and then give up, believing the process doesn't work. Yet this law is not swayed by impatience. It responds to depth of belief. The subconscious mind is like fertile soil. It will grow whatever seeds are planted consistently. If you have been planting seeds of fear and doubt for years, you cannot expect a single day of positive thinking to reverse that overnight. But the moment you choose to persist, you begin to recondition your inner world, and that change will inevitably show itself in your life. Murphy often said that imagination is the workshop of God. It is through imagination that we impress new images upon the subconscious. The key is to make these images vivid and emotionally charged, for feeling is the language of the subconscious. This is why daydreaming about success without emotion has little effect, but deeply feeling the reality of your desired outcome can produce dramatic results. As you hold that image with faith, your subconscious accepts it, and circumstances begin to shift in harmony with your new mental equivalent. The power of this law lies in its neutrality. It does not favor good or bad. It simply reflects what is impressed upon it. If fear dominates your imagination, fear will find expression. If faith dominates, faith will manifest. Understanding this law removes superstition and randomness from life. You no longer feel like a victim of chance because you recognize that your circumstances, though sometimes complex, are not accidents. They are expressions of belief, and belief can be changed. This principle also reveals why blaming others or external forces for your condition is disempowering. While circumstances can be challenging and injustices do exist, the power to shift your reality begins within. When you change your self-concept, your outer world eventually adjusts. The law of equivalence is not a quick escape from life's difficulties, but a guarantee that nothing external has greater authority over you than the images you hold in your own mind. Even in hardship, your vision determines your direction. Start by examining your mental pictures with honesty. What image do you hold about your health, your finances, your relationships, your future? If those pictures are colored by fear, failure, or shame, you now have the key to rewrite them. Replace them with images of peace, prosperity, and harmony. Practice until they feel natural. This is not pretending, it is training your subconscious to accept truth rather than fear. And when truth becomes your dominant belief, life mirrors it back to you. The law of mental equivalence is unbreakable, but it is also your ally. It ensures that every effort you make to uplift your thought will eventually bear fruit. Just as negative thinking produces visible results, so does faith-filled thinking. The challenge is persistence. The subconscious responds to what is repeated with conviction, so speak words of life to yourself daily. Visualize your desired good as though it were already real. Refuse to rehearse failure. The more deeply you saturate your mind with these impressions, the faster your outer life will reflect them. This law also explains why spiritual growth feels gradual. Each layer of fear or limitation must be replaced with a new mental equivalent. Each day of consistent practice strengthens the image until it becomes dominant. Over time, life begins to shift so naturally that others may call it luck, not realizing it is simply law in motion. When you understand this, you stop doubting the process. You no longer wait anxiously for results because you know that every new thought is a seed, and every seed will produce after its kind. The law of mental equivalence is one of life's greatest equalizers. It reminds us that no one is limited by birth or circumstance. Everyone has access to the creative power of thought. The question is not whether the law is working, but what image you are impressing upon it. As you begin to take responsibility for those images, you will find that life itself becomes more cooperative. Opportunities appear, relationships heal, and health improves, not by chance, but because you dared to change the blueprint within. Negative atmospheres do not emerge overnight. They are built gradually, thought by thought, until they feel like reality itself. Fear, resentment, and self-doubt, when entertained repeatedly, create a mental climate that draws similar experiences. Joseph Murphy taught that these patterns operate like self-fulfilling prophecies, not because of fate, but because the subconscious mind faithfully reproduces whatever is impressed upon it. Breaking free from these cycles requires more than surface-level optimism. It requires deep mental cleansing, a conscious decision to dissolve the old patterns and replace them with truth. Many people live under the influence of these atmospheres without realizing it. They wake up each day expecting the same struggles, not out of choice, but out of habit. This expectation colors their interactions, decisions, and opportunities. The mind projects yesterday onto today, and life seems to repeat itself. This is why spiritual teachers urge self-examination. Awareness is the first step toward freedom. You cannot escape what you refuse to see, but once you recognize a destructive pattern, you gain the ability to replace it. To break a negative atmosphere, begin with the understanding that your subconscious is impressionable, but not stubborn. It is willing to release the old and accept the new, provided you feed it consistent images of peace, abundance, and strength. The key is persistence. Many people give up too soon, believing nothing is happening, but the subconscious responds slowly at first, like a great ship changing direction. The shift begins inwardly before it becomes visible outwardly. Words are a powerful tool in this transformation. When you speak life-affirming words with conviction, you are planting seeds in the soil of your subconscious. Over time, these seeds grow into new experiences. Murphy often said that what you decree with feeling becomes law in your world. Replacing negative affirmations, those subtle phrases of defeat you repeat daily, with declarations of truth is essential. Instead of saying, "I never get ahead," begin declaring, "Divine wisdom guides me. I am advancing steadily." This is not wishful thinking. It is a deliberate act of mental reprogramming. Breaking the spell of a negative atmosphere also requires emotional release. Resentment, guilt, and fear often hide in the subconscious, influencing behavior in ways you may not notice. Forgiveness is a powerful tool here, not just forgiving others, but forgiving yourself. To forgive is to release, and to release is to create space for something better. As you let go of bitterness, your atmosphere lightens. You begin to feel different, and those around you feel it too. Spiritual growth is not only about adding positive ideas, it is also about clearing the debris that blocks the flow of good. Visualization is another effective method. The subconscious accepts images as reality, especially when charged with emotion. If your life has been shaped by negative pictures of failure, illness, or limitation, you can begin replacing those images with new ones. Take time each day to picture yourself living in harmony, health, and abundance. Feel it as real. This practice imprints a new blueprint on your subconscious, and the law of mind will work to express it. The process is not always easy because negative atmospheres often feel familiar. Even suffering can become comfortable when it is all you know. That is why spiritual transformation requires courage, the courage to let go of old identities and step into something greater. Many people unconsciously cling to limitation because it feels safe, but the moment you choose freedom, life begins to respond. The universe is always ready to mirror a renewed mind. It simply waits for you to choose a new direction. One of Murphy's key teachings was that you do not fight darkness, you introduce light. In the same way, you do not fight negativity directly, you replace it with truth. This is a subtle but profound shift. Fighting negativity often strengthens it because it keeps your attention fixed on the problem. Instead, shift your focus to what you desire. Speak words of faith. Practice gratitude for even the smallest blessings. Surround yourself with uplifting influences, books, music, and conversations that elevate your spirit. Over time, these practices saturate your subconscious with a new vibration, and the old patterns fade naturally. Breaking negative atmospheres is also about breaking association with destructive environments. Just as your thoughts influence your surroundings influence your thoughts. If you spend time in places or with people who constantly reinforce fear and doubt, your own mental atmosphere is weakened. This is not a call to withdraw from life, but to be intentional about what you allow to enter your mind. Choose friendships that inspire, media that uplifts, and activities that restore your spirit. Your atmosphere will begin to reflect the choices you make daily. The process of renewal is ongoing. The mind, like a garden, requires regular care. Weeds of fear and doubt can sprout quickly if left unchecked. Daily practices such as meditation, prayer, and affirmations are not rituals for ritual's sake. They are essential maintenance for your inner life. They ensure that your atmosphere remains clear, vibrant, and aligned with truth. Over time, these practices become natural. The mind that was once filled with fear becomes anchored in faith, and life responds with harmony. Breaking free from a negative atmosphere is one of the greatest acts of spiritual freedom. It proves that you are not a prisoner of your past or your circumstances. The law of mind is neutral and unfailing. It will express whatever you choose to impress upon it. The moment you decide to stop rehearsing fear and start affirming truth, the process of renewal begins. Life may not change overnight, but the shift in your atmosphere is immediate. You begin to feel lighter, stronger, and more hopeful. And that inner shift is the first evidence of transformation. Every great spiritual teacher has taught that your life is not defined by what happens to you, but by what you hold within you. When you take responsibility for your mental atmosphere, you reclaim your creative power. You stop waiting for others to change and start cultivating the inner climate that attracts what you desire. This is true mastery, the ability to create harmony within, regardless of circumstances. And as you live from that mastery, your world will inevitably reflect it. What happens when gratitude stops being a passing mood and becomes your baseline? The atmosphere around you shifts quietly at first, then unmistakably. People relax in your presence. Invitations meet less resistance. Your body moves with steadier rhythm. Practiced as discipline, gratitude is not sentimental decoration. It is a reordering power. And when it works alongside faith, the calm expectancy that good is present and unfolding, The two together become a magnet that reshapes both your inner climate and your visible results. Gratitude is more than saying thank you. It is a trained way of seeing. It looks through surface noise to notice value, order, and possibility. That choice of focus is not naive. It is strategic. By directing attention toward what is working and what can grow, you feed those areas with energy. Attention is nourishment. What you nourish expands. Over time, this habit changes the stories you tell yourself, softens your inner tone, and broadcasts a steadier signal to the world around you. Faith complements gratitude by establishing expectancy. Where gratitude honors the good that exists now, faith welcomes the good that is becoming. Together, they quiet panic, interrupt the reflex to catastrophize, and free your best intelligence to act. In a fearful state, options look narrow. In a faithful state, options multiply. You notice timing, connections, and openings you would have missed while rehearsing worst-case scenarios. This is not magic. It is clarity restored by a different inner weather. See how these qualities reshape decision-making. A grateful mind does not ignore problems. It refuses to be hypnotized by them. It asks, what is the next wise step? Instead of, why is this always happening to me? That single shift moves you from complaint to authorship. Faith then adds resolve. If I take that step, support will meet me. From that posture, you choose more cleanly, speak with greater integrity, and persist longer. Outcomes improve not only because spiritual law responds, but because your behavior aligns with it. There is a physical echo. Gratitude slows the breath, eases the jaw, lowers the shoulders. The body reads this as safety. In safety, creativity returns. Solutions that felt distant become reachable because your system is no longer burning energy on vigilance. Faith adds a straightness to the spine, a quiet readiness. You carry yourself like someone who expects the day to cooperate. Others sense it. They interpret your presence as stability, and stability invites trust. Some resist gratitude because it can feel like approving what needs to change. But gratitude is not endorsement, it is acknowledgement. You can honor a lesson without blessing the pain that delivered it. You can bless the seed while still wanting a stronger harvest. Faith then keeps you moving toward that harvest. It refuses the old narrative that says growth belongs to other people, other families, other histories. It affirms good is lawful here too, and proceeds accordingly. Consistency matters. A single grateful moment helps. A daily practice transforms. Begin where you are, over morning coffee, during a walk, in the quiet before sleep, and name specific forms of good that are present. A skill you've developed, a conversation that brought clarity, a resource you once lacked, the simple fact that you can learn. Specificity trains the mind to collect evidence for progress. Evidence strengthens expectancy. Faith feeds on the proof your attention gathers and offers you bolder, cleaner choices in return. This magnetism shows in relationships. Gratitude cleans the lens through which you view others. You start noticing effort instead of only errors, potential instead of only problems. People tend to rise toward the expectations held of them, especially when those expectations are expressed with respect. Faith then dares to believe that healthier patterns can replace the old ones. You stop repeating the prophecy of disappointment and begin speaking to the possibility in front of you. Often, dynamics shift simply because someone in the system chose a higher expectation and held it with warmth. Work and creative endeavors respond in the same way. Gratitude keeps you engaged with the process rather than paralyzed by the gap between here and there. It lets you celebrate small completions, which fuels the next step. Faith holds the long arc in view. It anchors you to a future coherent with your values, so temporary setbacks do not erase your resolve. From that blend, consistency emerges, consistency, compounds. What others call luck is often the visible portion of that compounding. There will be days when gratitude feels mechanical and faith seems thin. Practice anyway. Discipline builds capacity like training builds muscle. The point is not to fake emotion, but to choose attention. You are not required to feel grateful to act gratefully. You can write the note, offer the help, bless the progress, and let feeling catch up. Faith functions similarly. You can take the next step without fireworks, quietly, steadily, because it accords with the truth you are learning to trust. Guard your inputs. Cynicism is contagious. It corrodes expectancy. Seek conversations that honor growth. Read and listen to voices that strengthen courage. Notice how certain habits, late-night scrolling, comparison on loop, catastrophe-driven media, tilt the mind towards scarcity. Replace them with rhythms that tilt you toward sufficiency. Journaling what worked, rehearsing words that steady you, being of service where you are. Gratitude thrives in service. Faith loves a target. Give it one. As the practice deepens, you cross a threshold where gratitude is no longer dependent on outcomes. You become grateful before results arrive because you trust the process you are living. That is a kind of liberation. You act from wholeness rather than chasing it. Paradoxically, this non-attachment amplifies magnetism. When you are no longer bargaining with life, I'll be grateful when you stop radiating neediness. You radiate confidence. Life tends to organize around confident, generous presence. None of this denies hardship. It refuses to let hardship narrate the entire story. Gratitude tells the truth about what is still possible. Faith tells the truth about who you are becoming. Together, they turn the soil of the mind so new roots can take hold. Over weeks and months, the changes accumulate. Calmer mornings, cleaner choices, kinder words, stronger follow-through. The atmosphere shifts first, circumstances follow, and both reinforce the next cycle of growth. Make it an experiment. For a season, set gratitude and faith as your daily frame. Name the good you see, however small. Expect more good to appear, however modest. Take the step that expectancy suggests. Then notice the ripple inside your body, your conversations, your calendar. Keep going. The magnet builds with each repetition until what once felt distant becomes natural, then inevitable. Not because the world changed its rules, but because you changed your climate. Your inner speech is the steering wheel of your life. The conversations you hold silently, the stories you repeat to yourself, and the way you describe your future all serve as instructions to the subconscious. This constant inner dialogue does not merely reflect your mood. It shapes your atmosphere, colors your decisions, and silently influences those around you. Mastery of thought begins here, in the private words no one else hears, because those words become the blueprint of your reality. Notice the tone of your self-talk. Many people would never speak to others with the same harshness they direct at themselves. They carry on a quiet commentary of criticism, doubt, and defeat, unaware that these words are accepted by the subconscious as commands. Over time, they reinforce the very circumstances they fear. The law of mind does not distinguish between idle chatter and deliberate declarations. It simply obeys the strongest impressions. This is why transformation begins not only with what you think, but also with how you speak to yourself. Inner speech is powerful because it operates continuously. Even when your outer world is quiet, your mind is narrating, interpreting, and assigning meaning to every event. If that narration is saturated with fear, you will live defensively, expecting trouble and interpreting neutral situations as threats. If that narration is infused with calm assurance, you will respond differently, seeing opportunity where others see risk. Mastery of inner speech is not about denying reality, but about choosing a narrative that aligns with truth rather than fear. You have likely experienced this dynamic in subtle ways. A day that begins with thoughts like, "I'm already behind," sets a tone of anxiety that follows you from task to task. By contrast, starting the morning with deliberate words of confidence and clarity creates a steadiness that influences every interaction. These small choices compound. Over time, your consistent inner language builds a stable mental atmosphere that others can feel. You stop leaking energy through doubt and hesitation because your words are aligned with conviction. The subconscious responds especially to words spoken with emotion. This is why inner speech carries more weight than casual thoughts. Words combined with feeling create deep impressions. When you tell yourself, "I'll never succeed," and feel the weight of discouragement, your subconscious treats that as fact and works to make it real. But when you affirm, "I am guided, capable, and equipped for this task," and feel even a spark of belief, you give your subconscious a new blueprint to follow. Repetition strengthens that impression until it becomes dominant. Silence, too, plays a role. Mastery of inner speech is not only about replacing negative words, but also about quieting the mental noise that overwhelms your mind. Pausing to breathe, to pray, or to center yourself interrupts cycles of anxious chatter. These pauses allow truth to settle in and create space for new insights. In stillness, the mind resets, and inner speech becomes intentional rather than reactive. This discipline takes practice, but every moment of silence weakens the old narrative and strengthens your ability to choose. Your outer speech, the words you speak aloud, reinforces your inner dialogue. Pay attention to what you declare casually. Complaints, self-deprecating jokes, and constant talk of struggle may seem harmless, but they feed your subconscious a steady diet of limitation. Reframe your language. Speak in a way that affirms progress, even if the evidence is small. Saying, "I'm learning, I'm improving, I'm guided," trains your mind to expect growth. The subconscious does not argue with you. It simply accepts what you say with conviction. Speak as if your words carry creative power, because they do. Consider relationships. The way you silently talk about others shapes your interactions with them. If you constantly rehearse criticism or frustration, your atmosphere toward that person hardens, and they respond to it. Conversely, when you choose to see their potential and speak to them in a way that honors it, the dynamic begins to shift. This does not mean ignoring harmful behavior. It means choosing to see beyond surface irritations and aligning your speech with the truth of their value. Words can heal or divide. Choose them carefully, even in thought. Mastery of inner speech requires persistence. Negative self-talk is often automatic because it has been rehearsed for years. Do not expect instant change. Begin by noticing your patterns without judgment. Awareness itself is transformative because it gives you the power to interrupt harmful narratives. Replace them deliberately. When you catch yourself thinking, "I can't," follow it with, "I am learning. I am capable. I am supported." Repeat it until it feels natural. Over time, the old language fades, replaced by words that empower rather than diminish. A helpful practice is to craft personal declarations, statements of truth that align with your values and vision. Speak them daily, even when they feel uncomfortable. The discomfort is not a sign of failure. It is proof that you are challenging an old identity. Each repetition rewires your subconscious, building an atmosphere of confidence and clarity. In time, these words become second nature, and your outer life begins to match the tone you carry within. Guard your words as carefully as you guard your thoughts. The mind follows language, and language shapes identity. When you consistently speak of yourself as capable, guided, and at peace, you reprogram your subconscious to accept those traits as normal. This is not empty affirmation. It is a deliberate use of spiritual law. Your words are seeds. Each declaration is a planting, and the harvest will come in due time. Speak life, and life will respond. The mastery of inner speech is one of the most powerful spiritual disciplines. It gives you control over the climate of your mind and the direction of your life. Instead of reacting to every external circumstance, you become proactive, setting the tone through your words. As this practice deepens, fear loses its grip, confidence grows, and your atmosphere becomes magnetic. People sense the calm strength in you, not because of outward bravado, but because your inner language is steady and aligned with truth. Every moment offers a choice, to speak defeat or victory, to echo fear or faith. Begin where you are. Pay attention to your inner dialogue today, and choose words that strengthen you. Over time, these choices create an unshakable mental foundation, and from that foundation, transformation becomes inevitable. There is a point within you that is untouched by fear, beyond confusion, and free from the noise of the world. It is not something you create. It is the essence of who you are. Spiritual traditions across time have called it the soul, the higher self, or divine intelligence, but labels are not the focus here. What matters is the recognition that this inner center exists and that it is accessible regardless of circumstance. Learning to live from this center transforms your mental atmosphere because it anchors thought in truth rather than reaction. Most people live from the surface level of mind, where emotions and external events dictate their state of being. This is why moods rise and fall so quickly, why peace feels fragile, easily shattered by a headline, a comment, or a disappointment. But beneath this turbulence lies an unshakable core. The mind becomes stable when it learns to return to this depth. From here, you are not easily swayed by appearances because you understand that circumstances are temporary, but truth is constant. Living from this center is not about escaping reality or avoiding responsibility. It is about carrying a steady awareness into every moment. You begin to respond rather than react. Challenges no longer pull you into panic because you know they are passing waves, not permanent conditions. This inner strength does not come from effort or willpower alone. It comes from connection, a recognition that you are not separate from the intelligence that governs life itself. When you identify with surface thoughts, life feels chaotic. You are at the mercy of every shift in environment, every word spoken by others. But when you choose to identify with your spiritual core, a new sense of authority emerges. You no longer look to external validation for stability. Instead, you draw stability from within and bring it into your environment. This shift is subtle but profound. People sense it. They may not be able to explain it, but they feel safer, calmer, and clearer in your presence because your energy is no longer reactive. It is grounded. Meditation is one of the simplest ways to access this center, not as a ritual for escape, but as a daily practice of returning to truth. Sitting in silence, observing your breath, and gently releasing thoughts allows you to experience a stillness that is deeper than the mind's chatter. In that stillness, you reconnect with the intelligence that animates every cell of your body and every star in the sky. Over time, this practice builds an unshakable inner foundation. Even when life becomes noisy, you know how to return to that quiet strength. Prayer and affirmation also reinforce this connection. When you speak words of truth from a place of sincerity, you are not begging for help from a distant source. You are aligning your conscious mind with the spiritual core that already holds every answer. Prayer becomes less about asking and more about remembering who you are, what is true, and the infinite resources available to you. In this state, Fear loses its grip because you are no longer trying to control life from the surface. You are flowing with it from a place of deep trust. As you learn to live from this center, decisions become clearer. Instead of rushing or second-guessing, you begin to discern the difference between impulse and intuition. Impulse is reactive. Intuition is steady. Impulse often shouts. Intuition whispers. The more time you spend connected to your spiritual core, the easier it becomes to recognize that quiet inner guidance. Acting from this place creates harmony because your choices align with truth rather than fear or ego. This way of living also transforms your sense of identity. You stop defining yourself solely by your job, your possessions, or even your roles in life. Those things matter, but they are temporary. Beneath them is a self that does not change. Anchoring in this awareness gives you resilience. Loss, rejection, or failure still bring pain, but they no longer shake your foundation. You understand that circumstances may shift, but the core of who you are remains whole. This realization is one of the deepest sources of peace. Living from your spiritual center does not make you passive, it makes you effective. When you are no longer consumed by anxiety, your energy is available for creative solutions. You can meet challenges with clarity rather than desperation. People often mistake inner calm for weakness, but it is the opposite. Calmness is a sign of mastery. It means you are grounded enough to see clearly, strong enough to choose wisely, and patient enough to trust the timing of life. You can cultivate this connection at any moment, no matter where you are. It doesn't require a meditation cushion or a quiet room, though those can help. It is a shift of awareness, a turning inward to remember that you are more than your thoughts and emotions. Even in the middle of a busy day, you can pause, breathe deeply, and feel the presence of that deeper self. The more often you practice this, the more natural it becomes to live from that awareness rather than from fear. Eventually, this way of being becomes your default. The world may still bring challenges, but you meet them differently. You carry peace into your home, your workplace, and every interaction. Your words gain weight because they come from depth, not from anxiety or ego. Your actions carry intention because they are rooted in truth rather than reactivity. This is what it means to live from your spiritual center. You become a steady light in a world that often feels unstable, not because life has become easy, but because you have become anchored. This is mastery, not control over every external detail, but authority over your inner state. It is the ability to hold faith in the middle of uncertainty, to remain grounded in the face of chaos, and to radiate strength without needing to prove it. When you live from this center, you carry a mental atmosphere that naturally uplifts others. You become a reminder, without words, that peace is possible, and that possibility is contagious. Your surroundings are not merely places you inhabit. They are extensions of your consciousness. When you choose to live from a higher mental state, your physical environment becomes a sanctuary that reflects and reinforces your inner world. This is not about material excess or perfection. It is about intention. Every detail, from the way you arrange a space to the energy you bring into it, communicates something to your subconscious. A sanctuary of spirit begins not with decor, but with consciousness, an atmosphere charged with peace, clarity, and reverence for life. Creating such a space requires attention. Notice how your home feels when you enter it. Does it welcome you, or does it silently carry the weight of stress, clutter, or neglect? Often our surroundings mirror our mental patterns. When the mind is chaotic, the environment tends to follow. As you cultivate inner order, you will naturally feel drawn to bring that same order to your surroundings. Clearing a desk, refreshing a room, or adding elements of beauty are not superficial acts. They are external affirmations of your commitment to harmony. Your sanctuary can be as simple as a single chair, a desk, or a corner of your home where you feel grounded and connected. What matters is the energy you cultivate there. Treat that space as sacred, not in a religious sense, but in a deeply personal one. It is where you choose to reset, reflect, and strengthen your atmosphere. Over time, this intentional environment becomes a spiritual anchor. Each time you enter it, your mind recalls the peace and focus you have cultivated, and your body responds with relaxation and readiness. But a sanctuary is not only physical, it is also internal. A calm, disciplined mind carries its sanctuary wherever it goes. Even in noisy or chaotic environments, you can access that place of steadiness within. This inner sanctuary is built through consistent spiritual practice. Meditation, prayer, journaling, and affirmation are tools to strengthen this inner state. The outer world may shift, but your internal foundation remains unshaken, radiating a peace that others can feel without explanation. Building this sanctuary requires conscious boundaries. Just as you choose what objects or colors to bring into your space, you also choose which words, influences, and relationships shape your atmosphere. Be mindful of the voices you allow into your life. Some voices uplift, inspire, and encourage growth. Others drain and diminish. Creating a sanctuary means learning to protect your mental space with discernment. This does not mean isolation. It means choosing alignment, surrounding yourself with what strengthens your spirit rather than weakens it. Notice how your spiritual atmosphere impacts others. When your mind is anchored in peace, you become a stabilizing force for those around you. A room feels calmer when you walk in, not because of charisma, but because of presence. This is the essence of a sanctuary. It does not simply serve you, it blesses everyone who enters its reach. Whether at home, in a workspace, or in conversation with a stranger, your calm energy becomes a gift, an unspoken invitation for others to rise to the same level of clarity. A sanctuary of spirit also includes your habits. The rhythm of your day reflects the order of your mind. Simple, intentional routines create a sense of stability. Morning rituals set the tone, evening practices help you release tension, and moments of gratitude throughout the day strengthen your connection to truth. These habits are like stones in a river, steady beneath the current of life. They allow you to navigate uncertainty without being swept away by it. Consider also the power of beauty. Surround yourself with objects, colors, music, or scents that lift your heart. Beauty is not vanity, it is nourishment for the soul. When you choose to bring beauty into your environment, you send a message to your subconscious. I live in harmony. I am worthy of peace. This affirmation becomes part of your atmosphere, reinforcing your spiritual practice. Over time, your sanctuary will feel alive, not because of expensive possessions, but because of the intentional energy you pour into it. This sanctuary you create, both within and without, becomes a source of resilience. Challenges will still come, but they will meet you in a space fortified by wisdom and strength. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond from your center. Instead of being consumed by chaos, you carry calmness into it. This is what makes a sanctuary powerful. It is not just a retreat from the world. It is a command post from which you influence the world. Your mental atmosphere radiates stability, and stability invites trust, cooperation, and peace. Ultimately, a sanctuary of spirit is not confined to a place, a schedule, or a set of practices. It is a way of being. It is the conscious decision to live in alignment with truth, to honor yourself and others, and to cultivate peace as your default setting. Wherever you go, that sanctuary goes with you. Your home, your work, your relationships, and even brief encounters with strangers become infused with that same energy. This is the natural culmination of spiritual growth. Your inner life becomes a safe haven for yourself and a source of blessing for all who cross your path. Living this way transforms your entire existence. You no longer see life as something happening to you, but as something flowing through you, shaped by your thoughts and reinforced by your choices. You understand that every space you enter is an opportunity to radiate harmony, and over time, that harmony reshapes your health, your relationships, and your surroundings. This is the power of a sanctuary of spirit. It begins as a small, intentional choice and expands until your entire life carries the fragrance of peace, abundance, and strength. You have journeyed through a deep exploration of the unseen world that shapes your life. The atmosphere of your mind, the silent language of your thoughts, and the power of spiritual alignment. These principles are not abstract ideals. They are laws woven into the fabric of existence, ready to respond the moment you choose to engage them. As you reflect on all you've heard, recognize that transformation is not a single leap. It is a series of quiet, intentional choices. Every thought you cultivate, every word you speak, and every image you hold is shaping the life you will live tomorrow. Let this bring you hope rather than pressure. You are not asked to be perfect. You are invited to be aware. Awareness is enough to interrupt cycles of fear and replace them with faith. The moment you notice an old pattern rising, you have already begun to change it. Each choice to bless instead of curse, to trust instead of panic, and to create instead of complain, rewrites your atmosphere. This is not about pretending everything is fine. It is about knowing that even in chaos, there is a deeper order, and you are connected to it. Allow these truths to become part of your rhythm. Build small, steady practices that nurture your connection to this inner sanctuary. Start your day with a thought of gratitude. Pause often to breathe and return to your center. Speak kindly to yourself, even in the face of setbacks. Over time, these choices will create a stability that cannot be shaken. You will feel it in your body, see it in your home, and witness it in the way people respond to your presence. Remember, your atmosphere speaks louder than words. When you live anchored in truth, peace radiates through you effortlessly. This peace becomes your greatest contribution to the world, not through force or argument, but through the quiet influence of a life aligned with spirit. Others will feel it. They will sense the calm strength you carry and find comfort in it. In this way, your growth blesses more than just yourself. It becomes a gift to every person you meet. So as you close your eyes tonight or take your next breath, let these ideas settle into your subconscious. Trust that they are already working within you, reshaping your inner climate and preparing a brighter tomorrow. The mind's atmosphere is alive, responsive, and ready to support your highest good. Rest in that truth. Let it guide you as you move through life with steady faith and radiant clarity. You have everything you need to create a life of harmony, abundance, and strength, and it begins within you, right now.